and welcome back to Positive Rewire. Today it is my dog's birthday. So he doesn't like being on my lap very much. This is my dog, Grim. Oh, buddy. You want to say hi? He's like, no, I don't really want to. Okay. He doesn't really like being on my lap. But it is my dog Grim's birthday today. He is 3 years old. Please stop licking my feet. It's his way of getting my attention when I'm on the computer, is licking my feet, of course. So he is 3 years old today. He is, I don't know where I would be without him. In addition to a few of the other things that I have mentioned, like hide. It's only been 3 years, but at the same time it feels like forever. Yes, I'm still petting you. Please stop licking my feet. I love animals, obviously. I've said that a lot of times. We usually have had cats and stuff like that. I actually grew up with a Great Dane. Loved my big puppy. It was technically my grandmother's, but whatever. It was mine. I finally was able to get my own dog when I was 13 as a birthday present. That was the one thing I wanted. My mom and grandmother went out and got me a puppy, and I wanted to pick out my dog, but they went ahead and just did it, which is fine. And I had said I wanted a corgi, and my grandmother at the time was like, no, they're ugly. No. So, but they ended up getting me a miniature dachshund puppy. And I remember being at my grandmother's house. We were celebrating my birthday. We had dinner, and it was early. It was a couple days early. And, we're celebrating, we're having dinner, and then everybody's giving me presents, and they're all like dog themed. So like a pooper scooper, some toys, and this and that. I'm like, alright, all the presents are done. Where's my puppy? They're like, oh, you're so funny. You're not getting a dog yet. And I'm like, where's my dog? So, next thing I know, my grandmother's coming over with a small gift bag. And in this small gift bag, I mean, like, maybe as big as my head gift bag, is this tiny little puppy, which was my first dog, Kiko. She was a miniature long-haired dachshund. I miss her. I love her. She was a great dog, and she had her quirks and stuff like that, but nothing horrible. She lived to be 15 years old, which is really good, for a dog, and by the end she was deaf and blind, so much that she actually started losing her sight at around 7, and they were like, oh, we can do a surgery, but it may not help. So we decided to not do the surgery, and then she ended up living to be 15, so I kind of do regret that a bit, but you never know sometimes. So, when she started to go deaf, it was really hard because, she couldn't hear you anymore, to be like, hey, watch out, because otherwise she would sometimes, when she first started going blind, she would, like, bonk into the walls and stuff like that, where we'd be like, hey, slow down, and she would stop, and then she would nose around a little bit, and, we didn't move any furniture. And then eventually the vet was like, you gotta start thinking of her quality of life. And I'm like, in the beginning, it wasn't, of the deafness, I should say, we didn't have any, like, I don't know, the word is escaping my brain right now. It's one of those days. We had we weren't worried because her quality of life at the time was, like, super fine. She could get around fine. She was going to the bathroom. Like, everything was fine and great, and, we didn't have any issues. Towards the end, like, the last couple months, it was like, I need to start thinking about it, because it was old, it was my decision, and I was like, I need to start thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. I gotta start thinking about it. And then eventually there was 1 week where it was a couple days, and she really wasn't moving too much, and I'm like, alright, I think it's almost time, and, my mom was like, you really need to, like, super be serious about this. And I just one night Um, at the time, I was dating somebody and went to their house for dinner. And my mom called and she's like, "Have you been thinking about it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I, like in the next couple days. And she's like, "Okay." And then she called me a little bit later and she goes, what day did you decide? Like, 'cause she's, not even, like, tonight she's kind of breathing kind of heavy. Like, she doesn't sound great. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just go now and do it. And I don't want her to be suffering. I want to get it over with then. She was ready. I'm not ready. You're never ready for that kind of thing. So we ended up going to the emergency vet. And one of the hardest parts was we got in pretty fast. We had called ahead. We're like, my mom had called like right then and there. It was like, "Hey, we have a dog. We need to, she's done." So we got in pretty quick, even though there's a lot of people there. I think because we, had called ahead and said, "This is what we're doing. We know what we're doing." Like, so they had put in like the catheters and stuff, and they're like, "All right, let us know. We'll give you a little bit of time, and then we'll come in and this is how it works. This is what we're gonna do." And I was like, "Okay, okay." And then it was like an hour or two later, and I'm like, "Can we get this done?" Like, she's sitting there with the stuff in her, like, they made me wait, and I was just getting super frustrated. I'm like, I'm not even, like, I was almost so mad that I was at the point that I wasn't even sad. I was just, like, so mad that they weren't even doing it, that I was just like, "Mom, you need to go get them. This needs to be, like, this should not be happening. She shouldn't have to be sitting there waiting with stuff in her arm." Like, I was so mad. So they eventually, came in. I was holding her while they administered the drugs and stuff like that, and she went pretty quick. She, 15, so, which is pretty amazing. And I always want a puppy, but the last couple of years of her life, I was like, I had wanted a puppy. My mom actually had gotten a dog, like a year or two before we had to put Kiko down. So, like, I was all up a puppy. There was one year, like, 5 people that I knew had gotten a puppy. I'm like, it's time for me to get a puppy. But I had always flip-flopped about, do I get one before Kiko or after Kiko, or, and by the end I was just like, I'm not gonna, she's too old. And even then, like, when my mom got a dog, she was probably too old. Like, my dog didn't want to play with the puppy because it's a puppy and she's an old dog and she's deaf and blind, doesn't want to deal with it. She did fine with her. She just didn't want to play. Play with the little puppy. So, yeah, and I had started looking, like, hardcore at puppies at one point in 2018. I wanted a corgi. I was dead set on getting a corgi. And I had been looking. And it was, like, about 2 weeks, a week and a half or so before my birthday. And I saw an ad for corgi puppies, and they were decently priced. And I went, "Can I get a puppy?" And I had worn my mom down so much in, like, the year or so, over the years, that she had finally said yes. And I said yes, because they were only about an hour and a half away. Awesome. So I messaged the lady, and I said, "I'm interested." She sends me pictures of the 2 puppies. I'm like, "Can I meet them?" She goes, "Yeah." So we worked everything out, had an issue, of course, but we were on our way the next day. I got out of work early, quickly picked up some stuff because I didn't expect it to be like, "Hey, I'm getting a puppy tomorrow." And we're literally on our way there, money in hand. We get 40 minutes away, so we're halfway there, and the lady texts me, and she goes, "Are you on your way?" I go, "Yep, we're going to be there a little bit, like, right after 4, because we agreed on 4 o'clock. And she goes, "Oh, well, I was out of the house, and my daughter didn't know you were coming, and sold the last puppies." There's only 2, but, and I go, "Excuse me, what?" So we stopped, we were actually on the highway, so we stopped at the nearest stop, sat in the parking lot for like 45 minutes to an hour, waiting while this lady supposedly called these people to bring back these puppies they just bought. And I'm like, there's no way that these people are going to be like, oh yeah, you had a previous agreement, you didn't know, and blah blah blah, and they weren't yours to sell, and I'm like, there's no freaking, like, no freaking way. Also, this is weird because there's no way there should have been any miscommunication about these puppies, because, like, when my mom and I foster kittens, it's like, hey, does anybody have dibs on this kitten? No? Okay, well now somebody does. Like, that's their kitten, it's not... So, I think the original ad had said one price, and she's like, oh, they're actually this price, which is the hiccup. So I have a feeling she planned this all along and was like, oh, I can get the $100 more out of this person instead of this person. So that was fun. And it was Easter weekend that weekend, too. Fun. So I was super mad the next day at our Easter dinner. I was just like, don't talk to me, and so mad. So I actually stopped looking at puppies for a couple days, and by like Wednesday, that was Sunday, so by Wednesday I was looking at puppies again, and Thursday I'm at my grandmother's, looking at puppies, and I find this one puppy, and I'm like, oh man, he's so cute. I'm looking at puppies, and like, I can't get this dog out of my head. He's just so cute, and I went home, showed my mom, I was like, look how cute this dog is. Some puppies. All puppies are cute, but still, like, I'm like, I just kept coming back to this one puppy. And she goes, yeah, he's really cute. I'm like, yeah, but he's out of my price range. And she's like, well, how much? I'll put some money towards him for your birthday. I'm like, okay. Because it was like 4 days before my birthday. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. I'm like, well, and then, the person I was dating at the time was like, yeah, okay, here, I'll put some money towards it too. And I had pretty much had just got my tax return too, so I was just like, I'm getting a puppy maybe, apparently. So at the time, my job, I was not able to make phone calls at all, or get away from take a break to make a 10-minute phone call. Anyway, so unfortunately I had to make my mom do that, which she did. Thank you, Mom. And she called these people and asked the questions that I had, asked if they'd go down in price. They didn't, but whatever. And so she called me and she goes, do you want to go through with it? And I was like, yeah, because he was still available. And she goes, okay. And I told them, what happened to us last weekend, and they wanted me to tell you, like, this is your dog. They're not going to sell him from underneath you like the last person did. This is your dog until we call and say we don't want the dog anymore. So, it's your dog. And I'm like, awesome, I'm going to go. And this was a Friday. I'm like, I'm going to go on Monday on my birthday and pick up my dog. It's amazing. And I was so excited. And at the same time, I had a little, like, apprehension about it because of what happened the week before. And then I go, hey, Mom, what are you doing tomorrow? Saturday. I had to work. And she goes, driving and picking up a puppy? I'm like, yeah, sweet. So my mom actually ended up going up and picking my puppy up. She turned it into a road trip for herself, brought some friends, visited a cousin that lived that way, and took way too long, in my opinion, because it wasn't until 9 o'clock that she came home. Thanks. I couldn't even eat dinner. I was so excited and nervous. And excited. But she came home, she had sent me some pictures and stuff. I'm like, yes, I see this picture of you with this puppy, but it is not, like, in my head that I have a puppy until I am physically holding said puppy. So she got home, 9 o'clock at night. She called me, she goes, alright, come outside, your puppy's here. And I ran out. She pulled in the driveway. There's this little puppy. He was 8 pounds when I got him at 8 weeks old. He's a dense boy. Dense. I don't know why, he's just always been a very dense boy. Like, always looked pretty light, but he's heavy, so he's always heavier than he looks. And now he's just a little chunky because can't do anything. We usually do a monthly corgi meetup and go play with other corgis, but we haven't been able to do that, obviously. Yeah. So, it was great, though, because I finally had a puppy, and it was a puppy I want, it was a corgi, he was adorable. yay, I finally had a puppy, and it was great, and I love having puppies. I love puppies. I volunteer at a dog rescue. I love puppies. Some others do not. I love puppies. So I was really happy to have a puppy again, and yeah. And then about 6 months in, or when he was about 6 months, I, for some reason, was starting to get like this, like, ugh, maybe I shouldn't have gotten a puppy, maybe this is the wrong time, and, just almost like buyer's remorse, but it was really weird because, like, I had wanted a puppy for years, why am I having this? And there's a random spider, ugh. Okay. It caught the light just perfectly when hanging down. And I was just having this, like, I don't know, just, it was weird, it was like a feeling like I shouldn't have this dog, like, I shouldn't be happy and have this dog. Like, something was gonna happen. And about that time, I was like, I feel like his birthday is very close to Kiko's. And so I went and dug, and my mom was like, no, I think it was the same. Like, I'm pretty sure they have close, if not the same birthday. So I went and dug and found Kiko's registration papers and found out that her and my dog, now Grim, have the same birthday. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, he was meant to be my dog. Like, that just seals the deal right there. And then when he turned, it was when he was 10 months old, we had issues, of course. He started urinating blood. And this is going to be a long video. It's already 16 minutes. I'm sorry. If you're still here, thank you. I probably should save this part of it for another video, but I'm just going to get it all out of the way. Because I'm going to probably talk about the ending of this part soon. So he started urinating blood. We took him to the vet. Obviously, he had an E. coli infection. It's on medication. Alright, cool. Antibiotics. A couple months later, or like a month later, had to be on antibiotics because there was some bacteria still there. Antibiotics for another month. Liver levels are still elevated. Took 3 months to diagnose him with what's called a liver shunt. And that means that the blood is not getting filtered as much as it should be, so toxins can build up in his system. And if enough toxins build up, it can kill him. Great. So the options are to put him on a strict diet where he can't really have a lot of meat-based protein. So he has to be on a prescription diet with medicine, 2 medicines twice a day, or surgery, which is very expensive. It's like a $6,000 surgery. On top of that, you have to do at least 6 months of the food and medicine. Yeah. I did not have any doubts about doing the surgery. I, for 1 second, did not hesitate to decide to do the surgery for him because he, at the time, was about a year old. Yeah. He could live with it and be on the medicine and the food his entire life. He could live a normal life span and everything like that. He could have the surgery. It may or may not 100% work. Whatever. So I opted to do the surgery. We did the 6 months of the food and the medicine. He did really good with it. He doesn't like things shoved into his mouth. So I was able to put the medicine like on a plate, a shallow plate, and he would just lick it. I got very lucky. He likes certain medicines as well. Clavomox, which is an antibiotic for cats and dogs. For dogs, they make it in a pill form. It's chewable. He likes those. Weirdo. Like, he will actively be like, yes, I want that. Versus the cats who are like, anyway, it wasn't Clavomox that he was on. At one point he was, but. So, I, of course, did not have $6,000 just sitting around. So I ended up doing a GoFundMe, selling things, collecting bottles and cans, and they pretty much were like, you need to put up half of it before we even do the surgery. So, over the summer, that summer while we were doing the food and medicine and stuff, I did all the fundraising, bottles of cans, this and that. We got the 3,000, called them and we're like, let's schedule this. So we actually scheduled it for September of 2019. It worked out where the museum actually closes for a whole week, and we got the surgery during that week, which was perfect timing. I had a coworker who lived about a half an hour away from the specialty place that was going to do the surgery, and he let us stay at his house for a couple days while Grim did the surgery and had to stay there. Yeah, it was very stressful because he was, about a year and a half old, and he's going through this major surgery, and it was a lot to deal with. And then on top of that, at the end of 2018, my friends and I had gone to Disney World, which was fantastic. But then, and that was like September-ish, and I then right after that had to deal with all of this stuff for Grim that, and not having $6,000 just sitting in my back pocket, I had to put the rest of this $3,000 on top of a Disney trip on a credit card. So I was going to be in debt for a very long time. But I was willing to do it for my dog. And I'm actually really thankful that he's my dog, because the first thing this one vet said to us was, usually when we diagnose a liver shunt in a dog, the options are the $6,000 surgery or the prescription food and medicine or putting the dog down. Those are the three options. And the food and medicine is not cheap. The food, I don't even remember anymore, was super expensive. I tried to get as big of a bag as possible. I want to say it was like $80. It lasted me like 2 months, but still. And then the medicine was like 100 and something a month for 30 days. So I was going to be spending $6,000 in 2 years because of that food and medicine. So it was either put $6,000 into him now or do it every 2 years. So, besides the fact that he was still a puppy, he had, a good, outcome, I guess, or good, words. But at the same time, she kind of gave me hope, because she said, looking at all the stuff, up until they did this one test on him, she's like, I would have never diagnosed him with a liver shunt until we did this test, because usually dogs with a liver shunt, they can have seizures. They're usually kind of malnutritioned, not the fault of the owner, just because of the way the body processes things. They're usually don't grow as well. They're usually stubbed or stuff like that. He was none of that. Usually lethargic. None of that. So, she was very hopeful for him. But, again, those three options. The third one was never an option for me. I never for a second thought to put my dog down or give him up. She had mentioned that she has taken in dogs before and had to do the medicine and the food, and they had lived natural lifespans. And I almost was like, are you trying to take my dog? But never had I ever thought to put him down at all. I looked her dead in the eye. I said, there's no way that I will be doing that. I was like, we're going to do the food and the medicine until we can decide to move on with the surgery. I said, but we're probably going to be doing the surgery. I'm like, this is my dog. This is my dream dog. I have literally wanted a corgi for at least half of my life. At the time, was I 30 yet? Yeah, I think I was 30. Yes. Anyway, and I was like, this is my dream dog. I've wanted this dog for at least half my life or more. I ain't letting go of this dog like that just because of this. So everything went really well. He came home after 2 or 3 days after the surgery. He healed up really nice. He's been fine ever since. He did have to do a couple months of the food and the medicine afterwards, but one of the biggest things about the liver shunt is because of the meat-based proteins, his body can't process it and the stuff will build up. He literally couldn't have anything meat-based. So treats, the food, nothing meat-based. For a dog? So I also wouldn't really bring him around other places as much because, you know, some people are like, oh, here's some table scraps. I have never given my dog table scraps. I refuse to give my dog table scraps. He does not know how to beg, at least from me, because I do not feed him. I tell him to go away when I'm eating. Like, if he's looking at my food, I'm like, hi, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, nothing. He does beg from my mom. He will just sit there and stare very quietly, but I tell her don't let him do that, tell him to go away, but he doesn't listen to her either. So, but yeah, he is a very happy puppy now, very spoiled. Kind of a calm birthday this year because of COVID. Last year I took him to the groomer, got him a ball pit. He had fun with that for a couple days, and so did our cats. I think they liked it a bit more than him until it got destroyed because they were just crazy in there. So, yeah. Long videos long! You're not tired of my voice yet, I'm surprised. I could go on talking about my dog forever. Yeah, I'm still paying off the credit card, obviously. Actually, no, I'm just gonna say it today, actually. I'm not even gonna wait. I'm finally, if not there, I am very, very close to where I am on the card before I put the surgery on. So I've almost fully paid off this surgery in like a year and a half, which I am very thankful to everybody who had donated back when I did the GoFundMe in 2019, or just gave me money, like, outright. People gave me bottles and cans. We started collecting them at work. The bottles and cans, I would get anywhere from like $50 to $100 a month just in bottles and cans. I would just take them all at once. We have this one place that's super fast. Give them a tip every time because it's literally a lot. I have a closet, or my garage right now is full of bottles and cans that I need to take back. It's just so cold. I don't want to go. But I have pretty much finally almost paid the entire thing off, and I'm really happy about that because I have my dog. I love my dog. He doesn't love me a lot sometimes, but, yeah. I kind of pester him sometimes. He's in his bed right now. So I can actually show his bed. Him in his bed. Oh, of course you're gonna be like that, aren't you? Grim. Grim. Hi, I love you. That's how he treats me. He seems to get a bit annoyed with me sometimes. But hey, what are you gonna do? No, he gets very excited when I come home and stuff. And if I could run my house on dog energy when I get home, between Kiko and Grim, my house would be running forever and ever until the end of time. Whew! Alright. Again, surprised that nobody has left the video yet. Thank you for watching. If you've watched this much, it's literally 28 and a half minutes of me talking about my dog, which some people like that, some people, if you don't finish the video, whatever, it's all good. I just like talking about my dog. Yeah. He's done with me. He had a nice cookie for his birthday. I didn't give it, it's like this big, but I didn't give it all. It's going to be over a couple days. I got him this new tornado puzzle treat toy thing. He's figured out how to twist it already, which is awesome. I can't wait to do more with that because he actually likes it. I'm probably going to make a mask with him on it at some point just because it's fun. So anyway, I hope everybody is having a good week. It's Wednesday. Woo! Earlier I said it was Thursday to all my coworkers, and then they're like, it's Wednesday. I'm like, right. I just said it was Wednesday too, because it's my dog's birthday, and yeah. So hopefully everybody's having a good week. Have a good rest of the week. Stay positive, and I will see you tomorrow.